Okay, round one, we're going to keep this hand, but this is an example of where Stromkirk Condemned and Breakneck Rider are a bit awkward in the same deck. Not a huge deal. I mean, to be honest, the real problem is, even if I were to draw a swamp, I can't go Condemned into Breakneck Rider. But now at least I can go Graph Rats into Breakneck Rider. Crypt Breaker's a great card, by the way. It's very strong. I've gotten a chance to play with it and have been very impressed. Wow, rare into rare. That's intimidating. All right. We'll just go Rats. I still prioritize playing the Breakneck Rider on turn 3 more highly than a turn 2 Stromkirk Condemned, especially given this board. Weaver looks insane right now, by the way. I don't want to play Weaver right on turn 3. I mean, if he has removal, I'd much prefer him do it on Breakneck Rider. There's not a ton of removal I can think of that will deal with Weaver. Like Prey Upon or Rabbit Bite aren't anything to be concerned about. But I don't have any spells yet. If I had spells, I'd probably go Weaver right away. Oh my god, Weaver is going to just destroy my opponent. If I draw a spell, I'll probably go Weaver. Okay. Still going to do the Breakneck Rider here. So if I attack with Rats and I play the Rider, let's say he kills the Rider. He missed a land drop. I still think we attack. No need to play it safe this early. If he's got removal, we'll force him to use it. If he doesn't have removal, Breakneck Rider is going to do some work. How did he discard the Valdarin Pariah? I missed that. Oh, he didn't discard it. He got it off the that thing. Okay. All right, we'll play the Weaver now. Well, at least he doesn't have Delirium. Ooh. High value for us. I mean, he's got Cultivator up, but Confront the Unknown doesn't protect it. You know, a lot of people forget that Weaver of Lightning has Reach. But even if he forgot it had Reach, I don't understand why he would attack like that. Like, why attack with the Mornwillow? Maybe he's got Confront the Unknown in hand. That would make a lot of sense. I think he did forget about the Reach. That attack didn't make a ton of sense otherwise. All right. I guess we'll continue the Graph Rats beats. And, well, yeah, only because Crypt Breaker is going to become a problem. He's got 3 cards in hand, but we have, like, all lands. I think he's got a combat trick. Like, attacking with the Mornwillow, he had this up. It's probably, like, Confront the Unknown or something. So I'd rather trade my Graph Rats for a Confront the Unknown than my Stromkirk Condemned. And I certainly don't want to trade my Weaver for a Confront the Unknown. So I guess we are going to stay put. We do have to continue to play lands because we've got expensive things to eventually draw and play. So we know opponent's got 3 spells in hand. And like I said, the only reason I didn't attack with Graph Rats is I don't want to trade a Stromkirk Condemned for a Morn Willow. And I don't want to trade Weaver of Lightning for a Confront the Unknown, if that's what he has, which I suspect it is. Because once again, I'm assuming my opponent did not see that Weaver of Lightning has reach. And the only reason I'm assuming that is there's been quite a few opponents that have just not realized that. I've also accidentally attacked into Weaver of Lightning and was able to... Well, now I can attack with Graph Rats, I guess. My opponent didn't even know. So he can discard to Crypt Breaker. One, two, three, four, five, six. So he's a land away from flipping his captive, which is going to be a problem. I think we stick it out here. Plant Skeleton. I mean, I don't want him to get zombies, but I don't want to trade my Graph Rats for a zombie either. Especially now that I have 2 vampires. He didn't use Crypt Breaker there, interestingly. It does seem like Weaver is going to be fantastic in this matchup, as well as Spreading Flames, just based on the amount of 1 toughness creatures we saw. Keep in mind he also has Skeleton Crypt Breaker synergy. He brought back the... Wait, I missed what he brought back. I should have. The Pariah. That makes sense. He's got Delirium now as well. So we're in a bit of trouble now, unfortunately. We're going to have to, I guess, somehow... We're going to have to draw hot here, I guess. But, I mean, we have ample top end to draw. So we just got to draw it. And as you notice, I usually play 16 land decks. Like I've said, I've encountered Flood. I can't put a percentage on it, but Flood has affected so many more games than Mana Screw for me. Which is why I just tend to always err towards 16 land decks. Obviously, I don't regret the decision to play 17 here. I think it was sort of a necessity. But we're obviously getting a little bit flooded here. So I don't need to play any more lands. I might as well sandbag them for the Stromkirk Condemned. And we can still sack things to the Aristocrat if necessary. Unfortunately, the problem with Hanweir Garrison right now is that I think what I might have to do is attack with Garrison and Aristocrat and Condemned. See how he blocks, and we're probably just going to sack. Well, he's got the Death Touch now, which I guess makes it more difficult. Let me think what I can do here. I guess I really don't have a good block, but I feel like taking 5 damage would be extraordinarily bad. What is something I can do here? Unfortunately, I just do not have a good block. And that Voldaren Pariah that he's going to follow up with is going to be a real major issue. I want to combo off with Garrison and Aristocrat and Stromkirk Condemned. I just do not have a good block here at all. Yeah, I'm really trying to come up with solve a solution here to not take 5 damage, and I'm not seeing a good block. Like I said, I want to be able to attack with Garrison, see how he blocks, and sack them all to Aristocrat and just make these two huge. But I can't even double block with this and deal with the Survivalist. I guess I gotta go to 8. It seems really bad, mostly because it is. But you can't even block because it's got the trample. I can't even block with rats and then sack for value. It doesn't do anything. The trample just goes over. Not playing the Pariah is pretty surprising. I guess he wants to flip the Captive. I guess that makes sense. Well, Rancid Rats is a good draw. So let's attack with... Let's attack with Garrison. So I'll trade my Garrison for a Captive if he wants. Let's just sack our tokens now. Okay, so we did do what we thought. This is still fine. This is what we had planned to do. We're basically making a big army out of our vampires at the moment. So we'll let that happen. And then we'll follow up with the rats and pass. And we can still discard to Condemned if we have to. We're going to have to deal with this Cultivator, but we are one spell away from dealing with it. And then we can start smashing in with some lifelink. The problem is he can play the Pariah and sack 3 creatures, requiring us to sack 3 creatures. But the good news is we have 3 creatures to sacrifice. But then we have to immediately deal with I mean, we're going to block Abomination with Rats and Condemned with Survivalist. And then I guess at that point he can make us sack our whole board. But at least he has to sack some creatures too. And we're in no position to play around combat tricks here. I mean, actually, you know, something I can do. I can actually block like this. Because I'm going to pump. So getting the lifelink here seems important to me. Like, we're not killing the abomination, so maybe I should have put the rats in front of it too. But we're not losing our aristocrat. Maybe it would have been wiser to put the rats and the aristocrat in front of it, but I would much rather sack these 3 creatures to his pariah than sack these 2. I also feel as though a lot of combat tricks are +2/+2, which means he might be able to deal with our aristocrat, but we're at kind of an unhealthily, that's not a word, unhealthy low life total. So gaining life here, if I can, seems important. Okay. Well, we still trade. I don't think that was the way my opponent should have done it. He could have killed our aristocrat if he gave that -1/-1, which I think would have been much better for them. They still would have eaten our condemned. So our opponent kind of botched that one. They really could have had much more of a blowout there. Okay, back to land draws, unfortunately, which is pretty awkward. So he can play the pariah, and he's going to just sack a couple zombies and probably a cultivator, and then we're just going to be left with an aristocrat. But like I said, we just managed to not draw any of our top end, which is kind of unusual since we just have so much. Like, we have 9 spells right now we could draw that would be at least somewhat, not even somewhat, like very good right now. If we drew a scavenger, we could bring back Garrison, make this, even potentially swing. There are just an actual just ton of draws that would be fantastic right now. So yeah, the problem now is if I block with the rats, we're going to lose everything. He basically just has to sack 2 zombies and a cultivator. Maybe even the Morn Willow, and we lose everything. I really don't think there's a way I can play around this. Like, if I don't block any sacks, I'm left with an aristocrat, but it's not like I can attack with the aristocrat, and then I can't block with it either. So I think we're just between a rock and a hard place. It's one of those really unfortunate sort of situations here. So I could block with the aristocrat too. The problem is, if I block with the aristocrat and I sack something so it doesn't die to the abomination, like, I think I have to just block like this. Like, if I block with aristocrat and he doesn't use pariah, I'm still in really rough shape. He just waits until I play a 3rd creature, and then I lose everything anyway. At instant speed, mind you, too. So I think I have to block like this and force him to use pariah, which is really bad. Obviously, it's very, very bad. Supplicant, sure. So I think in response to the Supplicant, he's likely to just sack the things and flip his thing and kill all of our things. Yeah. So we lose everything, which is really bad. Like, obviously very, very, very bad, but unavoidable. So we have to rip like a certain death or spreading flames, even ruthless disposal. So we actually have some draws that would help us quite a bit here. But this is our last turn to do it. Markov Crusader. So, yeah. So we die. I guess I play it anyway in case my opponent misclicks. I'm showing him a Markov Crusader. I don't think that's a huge deal. We had ample opportunity to really clean up this game. We had a Weaver of Lightning for, what was it, 8 turns, 7 turns, something like that. And we managed to see 0 spells that would have completely dealt with my opponent's board state. Just some very odd draws that game. We were halfway through our deck and didn't see 9 cards that we justified playing 17 lands for. So that to me is very strange. I'm more scared of the opposite happening. Well, no, they're both awful situations, actually. I was going to say I'm more scared of opening a hand that's going to have all 5 and 6 drops, which inevitably is going to happen at least once. But the opposite is awful as well, where you draw a bunch of lands and all the extra land that you played to justify all of this 5 and 6 drop, and then you don't see any of your late game. So that's strange to me. Sideboarding, probably not. We have like Sanguinary Mage or something, but seems unnecessary. I think we stick to the same thing and just draw better. All right, we'll play first. This hand is very good. Like, this is an example of why Spreading Flames is kind of an awkward card. It's so much better when you top deck it. It's so much worse when you have an opening hand with it. But despite that, I'm still obviously keeping this hand. Our opponent never abused the Sanitarium Skeleton too, by the way. So I feel like our opponent ended up actually making a couple mistakes that game and still just managed to destroy us. So that's typically a bad sign. If your opponent's making mistakes and you still lose, that's very bad. I think the only major mistake was that malevolence from my opponent that I can recall. Maybe I made a mistake or two. I can't recall any though. I'm sure if someone can, they can point it out to me. I guess we pre-combat the aristocrat. I don't know why. In case I have to sack my whelp for some reason. Okay, so definitely going to bombard that with some galvanic. All right, that's a good rip. I want to be able to use the maximum value of this, though. I want to pay 4 mana and burn my opponent as well as a creature my opponent controls. So I may have to wait for my 4th mana. Okay. So I'm even a mana short. Now we're having the opposite problem of game 1, which is very awkward. I could trade an Aristocrat and a Hostility for Unhallowed, but that seems kind of bad. Okay. Another Captive, okay. So we'd like to draw a land. We'd very much like to draw a land here. Okay. So a bit unfortunate there. Yeah, that is truly unfortunate. So what is the play now? I'm in quite a bit of trouble now. This is exactly what I was talking about though during sideboarding, where the opposite problem that we're gonna have. Both of them are awful, where you just have all the 5-drops, none of the lands. Game 1 we had all the lands, none of the 5-drops. So this is really the reason that I typically just run low curve decks with 16 lands, just so I'd never have to deal with issues like this. You get access to high impact spells when you play expensive stuff, but if you can't hit the lands or you hit all lands, none of the high impact spells, just distribution problems and you are toast. So I guess we'll offer the Whelp to for a captive because he has enough resources to flip the captive. I imagine we're going to have to deal with that anyway. And we'll just follow up with the Supplicant. So now we really need to rip lands very, very, very badly. If we can rip lands and resolve this disposal, we can at least deal with this thing that's likely flipping and anything else. If we can't, we're in some serious trouble. All right, got the land. So we can do Collective Defiance now. I wish it was instant speed. We can also get started on this Supplicant. That's something we can consider, which isn't bad. I guess the play is Defiance. So we'll do these two. 4 to our opponent, 3 to our opponent, 4 to the Unhallowed. And if he has a combat trick, he can't flip his captive, so that seems fine too. Okay, so now we swing at the Whelp. And the Supplicant should be able to put our opponent away. So we drew that land like just at such a necessary turn there. If we hadn't drawn the land, we would be in a real rough spot. So now I guess we want him to basically tap out and for us to be able to get in with one of our creatures. So he's got 3 creatures, which means, and only one, no, he's got 3 mana up of any color as well. But he can't block all 3 of our guys. So if he can't block all 3 of our guys, we should be able to kill him with the Hostility. I'm trying to think what instant speed removal he could have at 3 mana. And, well, I guess the problem is if he blocks the everything but the Aristocrat, we can't kill him. So maybe we go for a disposal play here and take care of the Constrictor and the Abomination, and then we can still smash with the Whelp. And we can discard, I guess, a Scavenger. I also have to discard a card, but I mean, another thing I can do is just start the Supplicant. I'm trying to think what smashing for 2. I mean, dealing with his board is nice. He'll still have the Scarecrow. These aren't threats I need to immediately deal with, which is making me... I'm also using a lot of time here, so I should really come up with the optimum solution quickly, which is kind of difficult for me right now. Let's play the land. Let's do the disposal. We'll get rid of these 2. We'll sack the Aristocrat. And we'll discard a Scavengers. Maybe this... Actually, this... Well, I can't bring anything back with Scavengers. Alright, we'll discard the Scavengers. Okay, so we'll swing with the Whelp. And we'll pass. So he definitely wants to play some creatures here. Okay. I think if our opponent had Malevolence, they would have played it by now, so to take care of our Whelp. So I don't think that's something we have to worry about. Let's swing with the Whelp again. And we're going to Hostility. So he can sack the Scarecrow. For some reason he doesn't. There's really no reason to not sacrifice the Scarecrow there. Keeping him off 3 creatures is actually important because of the Pariah in his deck. Super fortunate, once again, to have gotten that timely 4th land. If we had missed, I think, just one more turn off that Collective Defiance, we would have been in really big trouble here. All right. So thankfully he lost the Boon of Imrical too, which would have been a way for him to deal with Supplicant, and Grapple can't bring it back. Although at that point he was just too far behind. All right, let's go to game 3 here. I mean, I guess Shamble back maybe is something I should have considered. Is this a hand I want to mulligan? The Collective Defiance can kill a lot of things. Disposal looks pretty bad. I don't exactly want to mulligan this hand. I imagine our deck doesn't mulligan particularly well either. So I'm going to have to play, unfortunately, quickly here because I'm a little bit low on time. Maybe it won't matter. We'll see. I mean, obviously we have to rip black mana to do a lot with this hand, but at the same time, if I mulligan and I just get another... If I get too many 5-drops, too many 6-drops, we're also in big trouble. So that's kind of precisely the reason I like playing the low curve 16 land decks. If you have a high curve, you're gonna inevitably run into more distribution problems. trying to think if I want to trade my whelp for the zombie. Looks like he doesn't even want me to do that, huh? Alright. Guess we'll... He wants to start drawing cards. Let's swing with the whelp here. I'll trade a whelp for a zombie token, mostly because it's still costing him a card. Like, think about it this way. I'm trading a whelp for a Morn Willow. I'm okay with that, too. This is fine. We're keeping him off 3 zombies as well. I'm still trading a card in his hand for my 2-drop, which for us seems fine to me. Next turn I can do the Defiance on the Crypt Breaker. I'm not entirely convinced I want to, but maybe if he's on that plan, it's for the best. Seems like he's on that plan. And we get to flip our guy, which is pretty slick. Okay, so I can Collective Defiance, kill this, and deal 3 damage to him. But I kind of want to Collective Defiance, attack with the Neckbreaker, and have him double block. So I think I'm just going to deal... The problem is it is a bit of a telegraph, isn't it? I don't have a ton of time to think about it. I think we're just going to kill the Crypt Breaker and leave up the hostility here. So we can't Malevolence for full value either, so we are going to swing. It is, like I said, it's a bit of a telegraph, but it's not even a bit of a telegraph. It's a clear telegraph, which I hate doing, but if I don't, then it's kind of a clear block. But I'd rather deal 5 damage than 3 and not be able to attack. Okay. So he's got 1 card left in hand, which is good news for us. Spreading Flames, not bad. We'll go for the Borrowed Hostility play if we can. Nope, not that one. Oh, he's not in post-combat yet. He's got a Crusader, so I'm going to have to deal with that if I can. Certain Death. Well, yeah, I probably need to deal with both of those threats at the moment. I can't really afford to take 6 damage, so I think we're going to discard the Spreading Flames as well. Which does leave us at a bit of a stalemate. 8-point life swings per turn with that Crusader seems like a big deal. Alright, with Delirium, so I need a mana now. Well, Crusader's actually a good draw. So, I mean, if he attacks with the Survivalist, it may be in our best interest to not block, because if I can draw a land, I can kill whatever follow-up blocker he plays. So I can still smash in for the 8-point life swing. I think we got to go for that. I see. So really want to draw a land here. It's interesting to me that he didn't want to pre-combat the Tooth Collector. Bring back Crypt Breaker. All right, and he gets to draw a card. So we're kind of in a tough spot now. Let's see if we can't rip a land here. We did. All right, so I guess we certain death the Collector, because we're trying to gain some life here. All right. So I guess he can double block our Crusader now. What am I trying to draw? A removal spell, a bomb. Yeah, not a land. Certainly not a land. So if I attack the Crusader, he probably just offers a trade with the Survivalist. Is that better for me, or... I don't think it is. I don't know for a fact, but I think I might be better off looking for a removal spell here. Okay, that's pretty good. It's still, the problem is I can't get past that Survivalist profitably here. We're gonna wait another turn here. I don't know if this is right, but yeah, I mean it's tough. This is a tough spot. I don't really want to trade my Crusader for a Survivalist. I'd rather find a removal spell. But my opponent can start drawing cards now, which is going to be a problem. Okay, some bombardment. We can at least hit the Crypt Breaker. I think now we swing with the Crusader, because he might try and double block the Crusader by discarding something. And then at least we can buy ourselves a little bit of time. He's just doing that. Okay. So now we'll bombard the Crypt Breaker. I would have preferred him to block with the 2 zombies, because then if I bombard a zombie, we gain some life and he loses. He's set back on the Crypt Breaker. So I would have been willing to do that. Still have quite a few bombs we can draw. Oh, well. That's going to be a tough one to beat. All right. Flame Blade. Let's see here. Bring back the Graph Rats. I guess we're just... Well, we're not dead unless he gets another creature. Wait, is he actually dead? Let's see here. Combine my two guys. So if I swing, he can double block my 5-power guy. He just takes 5. At least it does force him to block. But the problem is he can double block. Yeah. Oh, he has something on top of that. Wow. Yeah, we can't beat opponent. They outdrew us there, so. We even drew pretty well there for that, but him having the Malevolence with the Pariah, we can't beat it. I guess I should have swung with the Rats. Yeah, opponent just wrecked us there. All right. Got wrecked, son. All right, I guess we'll see you in round 2. Hopefully we can do better. We'll see you then.